Yeah.
So what did you make your purple out of?
Ultramarine and magenta.
Right.
Yes. And then I've got flowers and green. And I'm just going to use 2 colours. Completely wet the vase here. And with this one I wet the whole top and it was too much. And then all the blooms just run together. So I'm going to just spritz it so I get softness, but hopefully not, they don't run together too much. Start with the vase because that's lovely and easy.
It's really transparent, isn't it?
Isn't it? And then start with the blooms, and so I'll use a brush each time for the bloom. And look, there's one right over there and one turning away a little bit and one going that way, and they are beautifully random. There's one really tall and one going that way, one up there. And then I'm going to put some of that purple. So I'm just aiming to make one side of the vase dark. That's why I'm depositing there and hopefully letting gravity, well not gravity, the fact that the paint finds the water. Just a little bit of colour over there. And then with some of that lovely green, start to drop in colour. Because that's what they're full of. They've got these beautiful purple tops. And you think they're all purple, but in fact they're massively green. And I'm just going to drop in green. And I'm interested in their form, but not overly.
That's not the stems you're doing, is it? It's the
No,
That's the
stems are the last thing that I do. And then I'll get a little tiny brush to put in those beautiful purple blooms. I'll do that one last because that's wet on dry. And do the least important. It's got a little bloom, little bloom, little bloom, little bloom, little bloom, little bloom. And, oops. Oh, that's often quite lovely to do a bit of splatter. Am I just making up for my mistakes?
Yeah. But that's what you're teaching. So that.
It's fluid.
Yeah.
That's because it's fluid. It is fluid, and because of that, it doesn't really matter sometimes what happens.
Yeah.
It just can enhance it, and you didn't mean to.
Yeah, happy accident. I'll be just a little more careful on that one.
Works for me.
And then with the same little fine brush, see, there's a big amount of water there. Could you pass me one? Thank you. So I'm just going to deal with that because that will just go all soft. Any other water? I'll maybe leave that bit there. Might get rid of a little bit more there. And then put in stems. So they come there, and then I'll go into the vase. And they're actually just a big mess. There's no point looking at that. I'm not going to bother with all that extra greenery. Totally up to you if you want to increase the greenery. I like to go through it because you get that fluid line. Because you'd think that you should go and then continue, but in fact you get a beautiful line.
Well, they're in front of one another, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that was too fat. Oh, I shoved my brush over there. And then this one I'll be careful about. So
You're going to
this
drip off in a minute?
Yeah, it sure is. I'll get rid of that drip and then go into the vase. Oops, into the vase.
That looks good.
Yeah, might add a little green down there just to finish that side of the vase. And a bit more depth over there. I want this to be darker and that to be lighter. I don't mind that bit of yellow, funnily enough.
No, it works well.
Yeah, I might increase it, put a bit down there.
So which green did you use there, Mel?
I made it.
Oh, you made it.
Ultramarine, and I had that beautiful turquoise sitting there and a bit of yellow because it wasn't quite lovely green.
It is vibrant.
And it's not quite dark enough on that side. So this is quite runny, so I need thicker paint. So I'm going to get rid of that runny stuff and pick up some thick blue, oops, and put thick paint there, because that's more likely to sit on that side and be dark. It's still very wet there, I'll just leave that for a minute. I want that lovely round shape established here, and a little bit of indicating where the vase finishes. So with a flat brush, it kind of goes like that. Just take off a little bit.
That's good.
It's very tempting to go all the way, but
Don't you too?
yeah, suggestion is good. Off. Off a little bit there. I quite like the yellow, funnily enough. I'll let all of that just do its thing. Just let it dry. Let that creep in. It's a little bit darker there, but maybe I darken it later, or maybe I go, actually I'm done. And maybe this one turns out better than that one because I was just being fast. And also we've been painting for 3 hours. So I may not be able to sit down and just do that off without having
Without
done...
having to
Yes.
warm up.
Yeah.
I like these too. Like, what if you wanted to have a bit more precision?
Yeah. Well, then you would use way less water here.
Do exactly what you did with that, the spritzing. Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry,
yeah, or
Marion,
the tiniest.
I missed the
spritzing.
beginning, so
Yeah.
did you wet that whole top? What
Just
did you
with a
do? I
light
just
spray.
missed it.
I
Did you
just,
spritz
that's
it?
all right. I can show
So-
you if you like.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
I
going to
just-
do another
Yeah,
one.
oh, you're doing another one, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
was
I
finishing
don't mind.
something.
No, I don't mind at all. I don't mind this one, so I could finish at that. But because you asked,
Okay.
I'll do a really
Lovely.
another one.
This will turn out better.
Marion, I had an article, or a book, I had it, Paul Klee's statement. Says art does not reproduce the visible, rather it makes visible.
Oh, that's a beauty.
You can see that in all that you're doing, isn't it?
Will you read it again?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then up the top, to answer your question, lightly spritzing where maybe the flowers go, but not too much. Because this one, see how I lost all the definition, so little spritz.
But these here like this, you didn't spritz.
No, they're all wet on dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're quite nice, aren't they? This little bit of greenery there. And then I know that they're not all purple, but I made them purple first and then added green. But you could do it the other way around. Maybe I should do green. That brush is too big. I'm just going to continue with the same method. And then I referred to the vase. So up until this point, I'm designing it and thinking consciously. But at this point, I want to know how I'm going to randomly place them. Because this, you can see, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, because it was out of my head. Much
Yeah.
better to have a look
And
at
this
that.
one's, they're all over the place.
Exactly. So there's one that goes there, and there's one that's right up high, and then there's one right next to it. That kind of thing makes you put it in that lovely random way, and flowers are so random. And then there's one that goes down, and then there's one that, and then there's actually not that many in the middle, but I'm going to invent one because I want that look. And there's this lovely one that comes out here, but that'll just look exactly like that. Maybe I change it, maybe it goes over there, so it's not a complete repeat in case they both work out. And then there's one that goes that way, and one that goes that way, and one that there. And again, I might invent one that's kind of not repeating, trying to be random.
So in some places you're losing your wetness, aren't you?
Yeah. So some are wet on dry and some aren't. And then that green, that's quite a big brush, and I just, because it's actually full of green, I dropped in green things that are very random. And I know there's heaps more than 2, but sometimes you can only really see 2. There's one there and one there. And I know that you're not going to see that, but I'm putting them in, and I really am trying to be random about them. That one would be there, and this one I shall be careful, because it goes like that, That's a side one, and like that, but they touch. If you wanted more definition, you'd wait till it was dry. Then really thin brush for the stems. This one is upside down, so I'm going to do that first because I've remembered it's upside down. Green, and then this one is like that. Oh, that's better already because I'm
That's
putting
great.
beautiful spaces in. And then this one comes down.
See, I like how you can go over the top.
Yeah.
You don't stop, you just
It's
do it.
faster and it can be much prettier. And then I accidentally stuck it in the yellow. And I really liked that hint of yellow up there.
Oh, it's a bit of sunlight.
Yeah, it kind of just lifts it a tiny bit. So I've got a light side and a dark side, so that's nice. And then I'm just going to darken, thick paint, thick to darken that side. And the final thing I did was a flat brush to give the... Actually, this one doesn't require it near so much.
Yeah.
That was all wet in wet and I'd lost the definition of the vase. But this one you can...
You can see through it.
Yeah, yeah, so quite a bit of a different look. If you didn't like how many hard ones, you could spritz them. You could soften them with a little, like maybe I soften little sides of
Yeah,
them.
that looks good.
Just to, because they are all quite bumpy little things. And,
They are,
yeah, and little tiny. And that's what I spent a while on those doing, focusing on the little side bits and how random they are. Oh, that has no stem. Maybe a little bit more.
Is that water or colour on the brush?
Water, yeah. Yes, I'm just using the colour that's there and moving it about.
Pink comes through it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that is a little better without that extra moisture there.
And
Because
to stop it getting a bit more fuzzy, you would dry that really fast now on with your dryer.
yes,
That would stop it getting too indistinct, like that one's quite indistinct.
they all are indistinct.
But
That-
they all go together, they're all the same.
yeah. But I think that is better. I think seeing those stems there is lovely. Seeing
I like
through
that
it.
vase better too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of that light, probably.
The light side.
The see-through nature of it.
Yeah.
That one looks like it's been sitting there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
It's gone green.
I should lift some off to get that side a little lighter. It's never quite the same though when you lift off.
Would you be
Never as
tempted to
beautiful.
fill that bit in?
Yeah, and I was resisting the urge on purpose.
Were you?
Yeah, to make it loose looking.
Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you put that in, you forgive more stuff
Yeah.
rather than making the vase
I
perfect.
see.
And also,
Yeah.
if I fill that in, you might start to notice that the vase is actually not perfect on that side.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you to Virginia and Beata for bringing in the lavender. That was great.